Hi, I'm Jim Gary, and welcome to Batilla P's workshop. I've replaced a messy open shelf in my shop with an Ultra HD Seville cabinet, along with a Stupid Simple Tools part bin organizer rack to hold my Harbor Freight hardware cases. So I first assembled the rack, then assembled the cabinet, organized the cabinet, and then had to move my lathe and my mill over about a foot to make room for the cabinet. It was quite a lot of work. And as always, I welcome any comments or suggestions you may have. If you found this video interesting, there are links to my other videos in the description below. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. My goal today is to replace this rack shelf. It's got these plastic slide out bins. I just found it to be messy. And I've kind of gone to these. These are just from Harbor Freight. They come in a narrow here and then a wider one like here. And I've been keeping a lot of hardware in these things. And I just wanted to get something tidier than this. This is just, it collects dust and it's a mess. I'm gonna replace it with one of these, another one. These are Ultra HD by Seville Classics. I'm gonna add in a rack made by Stupid Simple Tools to hold some of those Harbor Freight cases. So first I'll show you how the racks from Stupid Simple Tools go together, and then how the Seville cabinets are assembled, and finally how I integrated the two. So here's the box from Stupid Simple Tools. It has the shelf units for those Harbor Freight racks. I know from the past from Stupid Simple Tools that they don't give you manuals. Instead, you have to find it online. And in the past, with their products, I got a card that had, here it is, a scan. So I'll go take a look at the manual. So I got the manual. It's on my phone here. This is a really complicated process to put this all together. There's just tons and tons of nuts and bolts. There's more here and there's more here. And some of them are pretty fiddly. And in the video they talk about some marked blue and some marked yellow. But what they've done instead is they've marked one A and one B. So there's a right and a left side. And so these cap screws just screw in. And the side of these has counter bores so that when you put these screws in, they disappear down there. And those counterbores go up, and this cross extrusion, which is double thick, see it's double wide, it goes so A and B here are flush here. So I'm just going to hand tighten these. I'm going to tighten them a little bit, snug them down. And you also need 3 different sizes of Allen wrenches to put this thing together, which, you know, I've assembled a lot of things, and the trend has really been for manufacturers to standardize on one size so that it's a lot easier to deal with things. So you can also tell the top from the bottom, because the bottom, the first place for a bolt going down, countersunk down, is about 1 inch from the bottom ones, whereas if you look at the top, it's about 3 inches down from the top. But let's go ahead and these aren't so well capped. I mean, these don't just screw in by hand. So I'm not going to tighten it all the way until we're done. So the next thing, these are the little edges that hold the cases in when you start putting them in. So what they say is first to just drop screws into each of these holes. So far that's 20 screws. And then these just go on, and they're threaded. And he says to push down this way on the bracket to make sure it's bottomed out. And I've got this set just at the 4 setting, which is what they recommended. I've done both sides, so this is one side, this is the other side. And if you notice, I left some out, and that's because there's 2 sizes of these boxes. This is the narrow size, and it's 2 1/4 thick. And then there's this thicker one that most of mine are, and that's about a little more than 4, about 4 1/8 or so. The big ones will fit on the top here, and the little ones will fit on the bottom here. So if you're only using the thicker ones, you would only get 1, 2, 3, 4 on here. But if you use the thinner ones, you can get 8 on here. So you've got to figure out the cost effectiveness of that, whether it's worth it for you. So they go down, and then there's these pieces that go across, and one side is counterbored and the other side is not. By the way, I found that some of their boring was not done real well because there were scraps in there I had to remove before I could get some of the screws in. But let's go ahead and put these in. They just screw right into the bracket here. So I've got it all assembled here, mostly, but of course, there's more. I'm guessing when they engineered this, I don't know if they realized it just wasn't rigid enough with a lot of weight in it or not, but we've got these corner brackets. Each one goes in a corner like that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4. So there's 8 of these. And each one has 4 little tiny bolts. And those little tiny bolts have these special little nuts that caught in the track. So what you're supposed to do is put the bolts in loosely and just put a few threads on the nut. And again, this just seems crazy for a thing that costs as much as this did to have to fiddle this much. And then they say you have the choice of either just holding it in the corner and fiddling it till it goes in, which it just did. And now I just have to screw them in. I'm going to do it by hand with this. And it said they'll just lock in. So this wasn't so bad as I thought, but there's a lot to do. So I'll go off camera and I'll put the other 3 on this side. I'll flip it around and put the other 4 on the other side. So the next step is to put on the back, and the back is just as fiddly. It's the same kind of nuts, only now there's washers as well. So there's these plastic, they're just plastic things that bolt on the back like that, and they just keep the trays from sliding out the back side, I guess. So I had some trouble even getting the backing off. I finally just took a knife and just made a little slice, and then I was able to peel it off. So it goes on this way. The rounded goes in. The most rounded one goes in. So there's a washer, the hex bolt, and another one of these track nuts go on. 4 on each side. It took me about 20 minutes to do those corner brackets, though. I was kind of surprised. So here it goes. I feel like I'm in IKEA hell. So I'll do the other side here off camera. And finally, we're required to put on their brand on it. All right, here's a big one. Here's a little one. So they fit nicely. They slide in and out super well. So I think we're in pretty good shape. So here's the Ultra HD. It comes in a box. It's about, I guess, 3.5 feet high. It weighs a lot. It weighs more than 100 pounds. So here's the instruction manual. And as I recall, these are pretty clear. Here's an exploded diagram. And you basically assemble the left side panel, the right side panel, the left door, the right door. And it tells you which screws to use. So I'm going to assemble the left panel. This is the bottom side, and this is the top side. And if you look at the bottom panel, there's screw holes, 3 of them that act as nuts, so you don't have to worry about that. And on the other side, there's just a hole, and there's these shoulder bolts. There's 3 of them that go in. But you have to set this on top. This is a reinforcing piece. And then these smaller screws, there's 4 of them, they go in the top, they screw into the reinforcing, and that locks the 2 halves together. So that's one side. Left side, I'll do the next side off camera. So this is the left door, this is the bottom of the left door, this is the top of the left door. There's a single screw that you initially put in here, and there's a captured nut on this side, you can probably see it. And then there's this bracket, and it fits here, and there's some small flathead screws that connect it through the edge of the door here. And then there's these round-headed screws that just go through the bracket to the edge of each door panel. So this door is put together. I'll attach the other door off camera. So here's the right door finished. Now this is the rod that just connects the latch to the bottom of the door. So this just goes in this small hole right here. And then it's going to screw into the screw right here. And these have magnetic latches. This is just for if you want to lock the door, which of course I don't. I'll do the other side off camera. So the bottom panel goes on next, goes this way, and you can see there's captured nuts, 3 of them on each side. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is flip it over to put in the back panels. So again, this is the bottom, and this is the bottom panel, and they just slide in like here. There's holes, and they just use these short screws. So all I have to do is put all these screws in, which I'll do off camera. I got the back panels all attached. So the next thing is to install the casters, and I'll just do the one side on camera and do the other side off camera. They all swivel, but the front ones have the locking mechanism. So this is the back, so I'll put this in. It doesn't matter which way it goes because it swivels. It's nice the way they have their instructions. I remember this last time. I mean, I assembled those other ones years ago, but they're exactly the same. The only thing I can see different is these grommets they put for wiring. They have you put the casters on as soon as you can so that it makes everything else easier because you can roll it around. Everything else can be done while it's upright, which is really nice. So I'll finish this side off and do the other side also off camera. I've got all the casters in, the non-locking ones in the back and the ones that lock in the front. So this is the back. So now I've just got to lift it up and put it up on its wheels. There we go. So the next thing are these corner protectors. It's just a piece of metal, comes with it. It just fits up here like that. Upper right corner, I'm sorry. And it just goes in with these little flathead screws. I'll do the left side off camera. Now there's middle reinforcement, just I guess to reinforce that connection between the upper and bottom. Okay, so I'll do the other side off camera. Each of these bottom corners have little bumpers, so I'm just going to do this one on camera and the rest off camera. I'll do the other 3 and off we go. And next, there's these little magnets that are part of the door latch mechanism, and they've already figured out how it works, so you don't have to align anything. Just bottom one, but I'll do that off camera. So the next thing is to install the doors, and I'm going to put the right door in now. And the way it goes in is that there's holes along the hinge here, and they just go into these holes. And you just put it in loosely, and then you can adjust it up and down a little bit and before you tighten it completely to get the right fit. So off camera, I'm going to finish the bottom and put the left-hand door on. So just on the first go around with the doors, the left door has a little bit of a gap, about 1/8 of an inch, and that seems to be okay. This one is a little bit too high up, so I got to drop it down. So here's the completed cabinet. It's all nice. And I'm going to put the first shelf in because it just goes on the connector between the top and bottom sections of the sides. And then it uses these little clips to put in additional shelves, which we'll do a little bit later. So my plan is to put this on a shelf in here. And it's 22 inches high, so I need to put a shelf that's up a ways. I don't want the rack to slide around when I'm moving the hardware cases in and out, so I'm fastening it to the shelf with 2 front bolts and 1 back bolt. I purposely left this narrow shelf underneath because when I populate this, there's not room for all of my trays, and this is really heavy. This is my nuts and bolts. So that's going to live down here. So one thing about these shelves that come with the Ultra HD is they're reinforced down the middle. So they have pretty thick sheet metal reinforcement bar, so that helps a lot. As I've set this up, I saved all the extra brackets and screws in case I want to reconfigure this a different way. They're in the back behind this. Here's the cabinet all filled. Got a lot of extra space. I got rid of some stuff from the old shelf and I put some other stuff away in other places it was more appropriate. So I've got room for 2 large ones. This one's empty, so that's for expansion. I've got another wide one here that's full. These are narrow ones that are full. Not full, but in use. And then I've got this one down here. It's really heavy, so I just put it on its own shelf. Now I finally got a place to put my magnetic drill. And this is my old one, which is now empty, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. Now this is where I want my new one to go, but it needs to go back further because I want to make sure that if I have a car on the lift, I can still open doors to the cabinet. So what I'm going to have to do is get my engine hoist crane and pick up my lathe just a couple inches off, slide the table over and drop the lathe back down again. And I'll have to do the same thing with my mill. I've got everything cleared away. I've got my crane set up. It's just an engine hoist, but it works well. And all I have to do is pick my lathe up a couple of inches so that I can slide the table over about a foot. I've got a mark on the floor. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I've got the crane rigged for my mill, so let's see what happens. Okay, so now what I've got to do is push the mill that way while I lower it down. I'm going to go offline. I think I need to lower it, reposition the crane yet again. Well, it's rather sudden, but it worked. I can just slide it in now. Roll it over. Should be plenty of room. Now engage the locks. And there we go. Cleaner look to the shop. Took a lot of doing, but it was worth it. To wrap things up, the parts bin organizer rack was a bit pricey and it took a long time to assemble. And there are lots of alternate ways of making these organizer racks. You can make them from wood, from steel, or aluminum extrusions. You can find YouTube videos all over the place about making them. Despite that, I like the final setup, and this is my 4th Ultra HD cabinet. It really helped with the organization of my shop. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're interested in similar videos, please like and subscribe. Bye.